Author Brett King on the line, writing The Rise of Technosocialism, How Inequality, AI, and Climate Will Usher in a New World. Is the 21st century going to be disruptive and contentious, according to my notes?
We have seismic changes taking place. The real problem, of course, is coming off the back of the pandemic and with the gross inequality we have in many Western nations, including the US right now, is there's so much economic uncertainty. And so when you look out over the next 20 or 30 years, as we introduce artificial intelligence and that changes the way, we work and, where robots are taking over many of the jobs that we have today, and then climate impact, we obviously have the meeting in Scotland right now over this. Yeah. These just add to that uncertainty. So if we just leave it to the market and just go on as per normal without really planning for these levels of disruption, then the amount of inequality we've got and that economic certainty just ratchets right up and it becomes unbearable for many people.
How are you defining, Brett, technosocialism?
So really, rather than this being a sort of a political view, this is an economic view. It's about reducing the size of government through technology and making these universal services that we all need as citizens available at a fraction of the cost of today's system. So healthcare, education, housing, food, and these things. Right now, today, we always ask the question, how are we going to pay for this? But this technology will allow us to deliver these services as sort of the first framing of the economy to the citizens where needed as a priority. And then, we can let capitalism do its thing. But if an economy can't provide for the basic needs of its citizens, then we would have to say the economy's failed.
Yes. Let's talk more about how inequality, AI, and climate will usher in a new world. Tell me more about AI.
So the big thing with artificial intelligence is we've seen rapid improvement in this technology with the sort of invention of neural networks and deep learning capabilities and so forth. But we're going to enter a period where this is deployed on the basis of corporations trying to automate their businesses. The market always rewards, this type of automation because it increases profitability. But unfortunately, computers are getting so good that they're starting to best humans in a range of areas. For example, medical diagnosis. Soon we'll have autonomous vehicles that drive better than humans. Our supply chain, as that gets automated. Even, drones delivering us packages and things like that in the near future. These are all very real possibilities. But in the United States, this means that about half of the jobs that we have today are likely to be disrupted by this technology. We can't, have 50% unemployment and just go on like things are normal. So we need a plan of how we're going to integrate artificial intelligence into our society and what that means for everyday people in terms of their job security.
All right, bring in the conversation of climate change. Again, as climate changes occur and sea levels rise, my notes tell me it's estimated that 300 million to 1 billion people will be displaced. Tell me more.
So there's 570 cities around the world that will be inundated by sea rise or annualized flooding events. In the United States, the two cities that are most likely to be affected by this is Miami and New York. And we're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars of damage that will be done there as a result of that. This is already effectively baked into projections. And so how are we going to manage that? How do we look after displaced populations? How do we move them out of affected areas? How do we house them? This is going to take long-term planning and commitments. If we wait until, half of Miami is flooded before taking action, then obviously the cost in human lives and the economic costs will be far greater than they have to be. This is really part of the core problem that we need to deal with over the next couple of decades. Humans are very short-term focused in our planning generally. We need to become much more long-term planning focused and much more collective in our focus in terms of the needs of the citizens around us. That's the collective view that is really going to make us successful at combating these issues.